In a small village, a poor shepherd named Kamu Deen lived with his daughter, Nayab. Kamu Deen was the most humble and helpless man in the village, but his daughter was unmatched in beauty and innocence. Her large eyes, innocent smile, and simplicity made her stand out. However, where there is beauty, there are always ill-intentioned people. A few wayward young men in the village always had their eyes on Nayab, but in Kamu Deen's presence, they dared not act. He spent his days tending to his goats, with Nayab helping him. But fate had other plans. One day, while Kamu Deen was grazing his goats in the jungle, a black snake suddenly bit his foot. He collapsed to the ground. Other shepherds rushed to his aid and carried him to the village healer. The healer treated him and warned, "Kamu Deen, you must rest for a few days. If you exert yourself, the venom might spread." Kamu Deen was helpless, but he had no choice. Now, Nayab had to take on the responsibility of grazing the goats alone. The next morning, Nayab took the goats to the pasture. She was unaware that three monstrous young men had their eyes set on her. As soon as she reached the lonely part of the jungle, they followed her. "She won't escape us today," one of them whispered sinisterly. Nayab's heartbeat quickened. She started running, but before she could get far, two hands emerged from behind a tree and grabbed her. Just as her fate seemed sealed, luck once again favored Nayab. A group of woodcutters happened to pass by, scaring the three men away. Shaken and trembling, Nayab rushed home and told her father everything. Kamu Deen was furious. He stormed to the village chief, Bashir Khan, and demanded justice. Bashir Khan assured him that action would be taken. The three young men were called before the entire village and forced to apologize. It seemed as though the matter was resolved, but the real story was only beginning. A few days later, Nayab went to graze the goats again, but this time, she never returned. The goats wandered back home, but Nayab was nowhere to be found. Kamu Deen, frantic with worry, knocked on every door in the village, but no one had seen her. The entire village searched for her through the night, but there was no sign of Nayab. 2 days later, a woman cutting grass in the fields let out a piercing scream. "What is this?" she cried. The villagers rushed to the spot and were met with the horrifying sight of the lifeless body of a young girl. When Kamu Deen saw his daughter's body, he let out a heart-wrenching cry and collapsed. The entire village was in shock. Everyone suspected the same three men. The police arrested them, but when the investigation was conducted, their DNA did not match the evidence. The news spread like wildfire through the village. If those three weren't guilty, then who was? 10 days later, the police suddenly arrested village chief Bashir Khan. The entire village was stunned. The people were furious and protested against the police. But when Bashir Khan finally spoke the truth, the ground beneath them shook. "Yes, I killed her," Bashir Khan shouted. He continued, "The day those three men attacked her, I saw her properly for the first time. Evil thoughts took over my mind. I saw an opportunity when she was alone and a broken bar." His voice trembled. A farmer had seen him that day but had been too afraid to speak. Now, he had finally gathered the courage to reveal the truth. The entire village erupted in outrage. Kamu Deen stood like a statue, his face void of emotion, his eyes empty. There were no more tears left to shed. Bashir Khan was sentenced. But for Kamu Deen, this was not justice. His world had already been destroyed.